Yesterday, we had a debate between Fetterman and Dr. Oz. Okay, and if you watch Fetterman was struggling to speak because Fetterman had a stroke, and when he had the stroke, we were all concerned. The one thing I noticed is that there was no cognition issues with Fetterman. And you watched the stroke, and you actually did a TikTok about the stroke because you're a sufferer of 2 strokes. Go ahead.
Yes, I felt very strongly the criticism he was receiving, because my cognition was put into question if I was able to handle the rigor and the responsibility of being a medical student.
Right.
And which rightfully so, it's a different situation, but it's the same kind of setup. And what could be said is also that his cognition didn't seem to be impaired. His delivery might have been, which happens, but his cognition wasn't impaired. And so what saddened me is that they were saying essentially that his disability would make him unfit for office. And people threw out many examples. FDR was paralyzed. Someone even brought in Moses, had a speech impediment. There's many different quote unquote leaders of this country who have disabilities, and saying that someone is not capable of doing a job because of that disability is a prejudice. It's against them.
It's interesting because after watching you on your first stroke, your first stroke was mild in the effort, but the second stroke was massive, and the swelling in the brain and all of that really had you were. And I want to be nice about this, but you understand your dad misses some things. You were like out of your mind, and I was concerned and speaking to the doctors or whatever, and they assured me that when your swelling was down, these things would have changed. Okay, and they did. So we actually could present an empathy for Brother Fetterman, because Fetterman he didn't go through something that I hadn't seen proper. I think, folks, though, it's deeper than just Ashley having had 2 strokes or Fetterman having a stroke. It's more of as far as a society. How do we deal with people? How do we instruct people? What's the requirements of people? Yesterday, I saw an unempathetic person debating Mr. Fetterman, who should have known better. I have the right to not know whether my daughter was going to come back, her mind come back. Would she remember everything she learned in medical school? I have that right because I don't know. I am not a doctor. But Dr. Oz is a doctor.
He's a medical doctor.
He's a medical doctor, and he understood what that means. What was your take on that?
Well, I didn't see it, but I was checking some of the buildup to it, and I've been watching Pennsylvania, as many of you have. But Oz made a public statement before the debate that he's sympathetic to the medical issue and knows it well, and is very sympathetic towards Mr. Fetterman. And that he was willing. I'll paraphrase. He said something like, "I'm willing to make any compensatory adjustments to allow him to be more participative in this debate, like having the little monitors, having closed captioning, being slower in his response."
That's condescending.
But exactly, it was a very condescending attitude I saw coming from Oz, and I appreciate what you shared, Ashley, because you have lived it. We watched your dad live it through you, and saw just the trauma that he was dealing with on your behalf, running off and being just worried, unceasingly. And we're just so happy that you are so participative and so here with us now. It's a great joy to have you in the house here at your radio station with your dad.
Absolutely.
Yes, but speaking of Dr. Oz, I just saw one other thing about him. Mind you, he's not my favorite person, but he stated during the debate that, you know, abortion, on his stance on abortion, that it should be between a woman, her doctor, and the local political leaders. And I find that very bizarre. A local political leader,
What does
they have
yeah.
nothing to do with it. They weren't in the bedroom. They weren't in the hospital room. They weren't in the birthing room. It has nothing to do with them. And it's very draconian, in my opinion. And it's very controlling.
Yes, it is.
It gives a big brother vibe to me. And that was very disappointing, especially coming from somebody who went through medical training and understands that abortion is not choosing to kill a child or a fetus. You know, there are a lot of different situations that it will come, that abortion comes up in. You know, you have the miscarriages, you have ectopic pregnancies, you have, you know, high risk twin pregnancies that will definitely kill the mother. We have a lot of those things, and that isn't being taken into consideration
at all.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.